When it happens in Las Vegas, they get pretty excited. But now the game of poker really has something to shout about. For the first time ever, the big one has come to Europe, to London, and the jewel-encrusted bracelet every player wants to win is being fought over by the very best in the business.
Well, a lot of great players came out for this tournament.
They came, and many of them went. Over the course of a few brutal days, we've already said goodbye to a host of seasoned pros.
I've no choice.
I mean, this is just poker, it happens.
Shakespeare wrote that there is a tide in the affairs of men which, if taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Unfortunately, he wrote it about Brutus, who killed Julius Caesar but then ended up dead himself, which goes to show how dangerous rivers can be, and never more so than in the game of poker, where that fifth card has proved itself no respecter of great reputations. It did for Doyle Brunson, but the river has been cruel or kind to every single one of the 362 players who sat down at this event, sometimes crushing their dreams in a single moment.
Oh, this wasn't a fun tournament.
Some took it badly, some well.
Always did it last card and they can't redraw.
But it was always agony for someone.
Oh, there you go. I knew that was coming.
And now, as we enter day 3 of the tournament, one thing's for sure. There are plenty of tough decisions for the players still chasing that first prize of £1 million at the World Series of Poker Europe, presented by Betfair.com. Of course, one of them has never doubted his powers.
I have fire coming out of my hands right now.
84 players still in the hunt as we head to the Empire Casino in Leicester Square. And sitting on top of the heap is the fast and loose Dane, Gus Hansen. There is the bracelet they're vying for, and joining me to talk us through the action is a man with one of his own at home, Robert Williamson III.
There's definitely some star power at this feature table today. Gus Hansen, great player anytime, but don't give him chips. Especially dangerous when he has chips.
There's a hefty stack in front of him. And true to form, he is reaching for chips.
5,000.
And we're not going to see Gus limp into many pots. He's going to raise a lot of pots. He's going to use those chips as a weapon. And he's got a lot of weapons right now to use.
Another man with plenty of chips, Patrik Anonius.
Another tough player, Patrik Anonius. Once again, great player with or without chips, but he happens to have a lot of chips too.
Well, he's also got a hand, a pair of fives. Good enough to make the call. And we're going to see a flop peeled off. And it is Hansen who hits it. There is a flush draw for Antonius.
A lot of times the first bluff position's pretty powerful, and Gus Hansen's going to take advantage of that here.
Gus leads into so many flops that sometimes players don't take him seriously. And Antonius asking the question.
That was a very good card for Gus Hansen. Now it's going to be really hard for Patrik Anonius to win. It's going to need a 5 or a spade. And Gus is probably going to lead at this pot. He's going to go ahead and try to build a pot here with the made hand. Gus is going to take his time and think through every decision, especially playing such a great player like Patrik Anonius. And he leads at the pot. Now the decision's on to Patrik Anonius.
Patrik has 2 pairs, and he's making a re-raise. He wants to find out how good those pairs are.
Now, a lot of times it's finding out where you're at in a hand, just kind of qualifying where you're at in a hand, and I think he's going to find out where he's at in this hand pretty quick.
Does Gus flat call here?
The best possible answer for Gus Hansen right now is to flat call, because there's a flush possibility out there, and Patrik Anonius is very capable of having it.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wow! Never expected to see Gus Hansen lay down this kind of a hand.
There must be an extra level of fear for both these players, both friends, both chip leaders.
I think we were both very unlucky to end up being the same table. It's going to be good for TV, I think, because we both play a lot of hands and we play wild, and we'll see what's going to happen. I don't really want to bust him and everything, but I'm not playing soft against anyone, if they're my friends or not.
The Empire Casino is in Leicester Square, famed for movies and entertainment, and there was certainly plenty of that going on at the outer tables. Young British player John Tabatabai must have thought he was in a horror film when he had ace-4 against the pocket kings of Ryan Fronda. First act brought no relief. The second act saw him sink even deeper into trouble. But luckily there was a twist in the tale. He seems calm, but he knows he came close to elimination there. The censors were on standby for a suck-out at one table. Martin Vallow showing his disgust at seeing his ace-king beaten by a flush on the river. By the look on his face, I don't think he's going to be paying for anyone's popcorn tonight. Back at our feature table. Cards in the air. And immediately a big hand for Erick Jorgensen.
Ace-King's the kind of hand you definitely want to be the aggressor with. You don't want to have to call a big bet, but you definitely want to be the aggressor with it.
Daniel Negreanu has picked up a very strong hand, pocket jacks. Definitely going to be at least a call, I fancy.
A call and then some, it looks like. You know, two jacks is a very fickle hand. Sometimes it's a great hand to put all your chips in the middle, and sometimes you'd be in big trouble putting it all in there. So really, you got to really fill that hand out. Wow, another big pair. 2 10s.
Tough break for Patrik.
You know, in a spot where it goes open raise, re-raise, 2 10s don't look near as big anymore. That's probably what's going through Patrik Antonius' mind right now.
Great players make great laydowns.
If you moved in, you would have had me.
Oh, still had that.
Yeah, right.
I should have taken it back.
Well, now would have been too late if you did
Jacks?
that. Yeah.
Oh, I had 10s.
Yeah, 10s. I thought you were either like 10s or queens.
Eric, with his tournament
Good
life
luck.
over here with ace king of clubs, 2 jacks is the best hand. Eric,
I don't know if Daniel really meant good luck or not. A lot of times you tell a player that, but you don't quite mean it.
And look at that, there is an ace for Jorgensen. He has made his pair, and Negreanu now drawing very thin indeed. He'll need to hit one of the 2 knaves remaining in this deck.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, it's a club. Wait, it's a club. Don't go nowhere yet. This
Daniel
table-
pointing out that there is now a nut flush draw for Jorgensen.
Yeah, but you know.
He's got 9 outs.
Still a gin card for Daniel so far.
Sorry about that.
And no relief for Jorgensen. No time's a good time to get busted out of a tournament.
That happened at this table like yesterday. Every single time. Smaller pair beat bigger pair.
It was about a 50-50 coin flip. I got lucky on the flop, he got lucky on the turn, and the river didn't give anything to me, so that's what happens. It was low stake, had to play something.
I gotta tell you, it's a good story if I go broke, that's why the cameras are here. It's a better story if I take the chip lead.
Phil Hellmuth thinking big, that his chip stack has dwindled. And it's Monte Carlo or bust now with the Snowmen.
I hope you have ace king.
And bad luck for Phil Hellmuth. It's going to be pair against over pair.
I'm in trouble. You don't have to stand up. You're 4.5 to 1 favorite. You're 4.5 to 1. I don't even have you covered. Sit down. That's all right.
And no one feels like they're a favorite against Phil Hellmuth until they hit the 3rd queen. Oh, now he's in big trouble.
Matthew McCulloch seals the deal there, gets a handshake from the poker brat. But he has sent his fellow American to the rail, and no 12th bracelet for Phil Hellmuth.
But I've made 1,000 comebacks in my life from 0 chips. And, I gave myself the best chance. I came in fresh, ready to play, and it just wasn't meant to be.
Maybe it is meant to be for one of the players at this table, and who would bet against Gus Hansen. Picks up the dog of a hand, the K9, and once again reaches for chips.
For most people, this might not even be a playable hand. For Gus Hansen, it's a raising hand. And another name hand for Patrik Anonius, the 98 Oldsmobile. Now, most people don't play these types of hands, but Gus and Patrik have a name for a lot of hands, and they're going to play a lot of those names.
Not sure how many people over here drive an Oldsmobile.
I don't know how many people in the States drive one either.
But they are certainly clearing out the opposition.
Is there anyone else with chips in the tournament at another table?
And it is a 9 for both players. This could get expensive for Patrik.
You know, most people might not get too involved with this kind of hand, but top pair to these two guys, it's like flopping a set to anybody else.
Yes, they're high-risk, high-reward players. But every now and then they're going to get their fingers caught in the mousetrap. And right now, it is Gus who's putting the cheese in. And Patrik who's at risk.
It's got to be a pretty safe turn card for Gus Hansen. He's got to feel good about that 3 on the turn.
Yes, he is out kicking Patrik comprehensively.
But he's still checked to Patrik. This is a trapping check, I suspect, though. Not one because he's really afraid. He's trying to keep the pot size from getting too big.
It's hard to see Gus folding here, although after that first hand, you never can tell. He makes the call, and we'll see a river card.
Oh, my goodness, and that was gin for Patrik Anonius.
And now Gus really could get into trouble. He is first to act.
And he checks it over to Patrik Anonius. Thinks he's letting Patrik hang himself, but looks like sometimes it ain't no fun when the rabbit's got the gun, and Patrik Anonius is the rabbit right now.
40,000. 40,000. Don't think I can keep holding.
Top 2.
I had a feeling you hit the 8.
Oh, and some disgust from Gus Hansen there.
It's a good job these two are friends. I'd hate to see what they'd say to each other if they were enemies.
Oh my God. It's a nice 3 out of it.
Well, they may not stay friends if he keeps taking all his chips.
The best piece of advice I've ever been getting is don't play poker. You can't win.
Play your opponent and not your cards.
To be patient.
Because if not, you'll never be able to play the game.
You always need to be learning not to play bigger than my bankroll allows.
You just play one hand at a time, the best you can.
And not worry about the outcome.
Learn how to manage your money, because if you don't know how to manage the money, then you're not going to have any money to play at the end of the day.
At any time there's a substantial change, you take 20, 30 seconds and reevaluate those table conditions.
Never play with money you can't afford to lose.
One man in need of advice is Martin Johnson, who's still in the tourney despite being a total novice.
Instead of being run over, we're going to put the question in their mind. So we're always going to be shoving. We're not going to be, we don't want the question put to us where we have to call.
Yeah.
Our number one thing is now is we're going to try to win uncontested pots.
Yeah.
Trying to shove the money in there and putting the question on them. Yeah. Now, you may be behind, or they may not know where you're at, but it's been perfect. Now is the perfect time to utilize this very aggressive strategy to get you build up some big chips so we can get you to the final table.
Great advice there from top pro Kirk Morrison, but will Johnson follow it? He's in a hand against Kenny Tran, who bets big on the river. Johnson thinks about it and he makes the call.
It's a good call in this one.
Johnson shows just a king high. Wow. Kenny's nickname is Sick Call, but even he's got to be impressed with that one. Look at Martin, I'm not even sure he knows he's won. Meanwhile, we see the back of Jeffrey Lissandro. Stephen Rinn is out. He is joined on the sidelines by Yanni Hellraiser Swintula. Paul Efrenson, R.W. Stain, and the last of the Hendon mob, that's Joe, the Elegance Beavers. Just 61 players left in the hunt and 2 Finns at the top. Lurking in 5th place, though, is former world champion Jamie Gold. And our chip leader, Jani Lampsa, has joined the table. That's another Finn for poor old Gus Hansen to have to do battle with.
And a lot of chips at this table, but that's how you win tournaments. Got to have a lot of chips at your table. Only way to get a hold of them.
Durkee comes in with the 4-6 suited. And we're round to Gus, who's been getting hit upside the head recently. He has found a suited Jack 9.
Before we go, how do I say can I have a beer and finish?
And I think for once,
Can I have a beer? How do I say that?
Gus actually limped into a pot.
Daniel getting some language lessons. Feklisov creeps in with the King 10, and we're round to Lampsa, who's got a 6-9 of clubs, and he makes a raise.
He's going to try to steal those chips out there. You got 2 limpers. They showed weakness. Charge! Plus, he's got the chips to do this, to make this kind of play.
Negreanu gets rid of his King 5. And Durkee, who would have liked to see a cheap flop with his low cards, decides he's in for a penny, he'll be in for a pound.
And of course, Gus Hansen's not going to leave his children out in the cold.
3-handed to the flop.
And what a flop this is. 2 pair for Gus Hansen, a pair and a flush draw for Lampsa.
Gus checks. Lampsa, who made the original raise, makes a continuation bet. I think he would have done that anyway, but he has hit this flop. Gets rid of Durkee. And Gus pretending this is agonising. But with top 2 pair.
I think the only thing agonizing for Gus right now is, how much money can I get Jani Lampsa to put in this pot? That's what he's agonizing over. And a big raise by Gus Hansen, and I don't blame him with the flush draw and a straight draw out there. Got to put a lot of pressure early in the hand, and look at this. Jani Lampsa goes all in, and Gus Hansen calls. We've got one of the biggest pots of the entire tournament right here, right now at the feature table.
And Gus Hansen is at risk of going out here. If a club comes down.
Oh, ho, ho, and a great turn card for Gus Hansen.
Now the clubs are irrelevant. Gus has made a full house. And Lampsa has just leaked off a big stack of chips to the Dane.
Didn't need it. I have
a big swing there, and Gus Hansen bounces back by winning one of the biggest pots of the tournament.
180.
All right. Big-time tournament poker can really be a marathon. You have to focus very hard to keep your concentration over a long period of time. Many poker players, including myself, listen to music. Kind of soothes the soul.
It's good for relaxing you and not getting so bored.
If I'm getting in a pretty aggressive mood, I'll put in some dance music. If I want to chill out, put in some reggae music. But other times, I'll just listen to my Spanish lessons on there.
It's very annoying if the dealer has to keep saying, so it's up to you, you know, and you're listening to music, oh, is it my turn?
You should only listen to music with one ear, though. Your opponents might say something you might need to hear that would give away their hand.
I have an iPod, too. I stopped using it because every time I put it on, I lost. So I took it off.
Not too many iPods around this table. Everyone concentrating pretty hard, as you'd expect with a £1 million first prize at stake. Daniel Negreanu, Kid Poker, has picked up a suited 8-7.
And he likes to play a lot of hands from early position. So do I. Confuse your opponents. That way when you wake up with aces or kings, you're able to limp in and trap your opponents.
Well, talking about waking up with aces, Gus Hansen has got the bullets. He makes a raise. Now, the good thing for Gus, of course, with his loose reputation, it's easier for him to get paid off with a monster hand like this.
That's the great part about playing a lot of hands. People don't ever think you have anything. When you do wake up with a hand, you get a maximum payout.
Just Daniel left. Will he make the call? He does indeed, and we're going to see a flop. Sweet music for Gus Hansen.
And what a great flop for Gus Hansen. He flops 3 aces, but Daniel Negreanu has a flush draw. We could see some fireworks here.
They both checked, and now Daniel makes his flush. It's gone horribly pear-shaped for Gus. He'll need to pair the board.
Or another diamond.
It's Daniel betting out. Now, how hard would this be to lay down?
Well, I don't play good enough to lay this hand down. I don't think many people in the world do. I suspect we're going to see at least a call. Could be a big raise here.
Well, Gus did lay down 3 queens earlier. Now he is flat calling with 3 aces. He does have that nut flush draw.
Daniel's got to be a little suspicious, like what in the world could he be up against here?
Daniel now 100% on this one.
And Gus Hansen decided to play this hand a little tricky, and he might have got himself caught up. Maybe he saved money. You never know. Tough decision for Gus Hansen, but he's probably going to have to pay Daniel Negreanu off here.
Probably anybody else in the world I'll raise.
Got a flush.
Gus called.
Yeah, we kind of saw that.
Diamond flush.
Wow. Pretty sick.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Daniel's just sick that he was against Gus Hansen and not another player. Give him more chips.
Now I feel like I'm.
Else in the world
Now I
I'll
feel like
raise.
I'm missing some money somehow.
Anybody else in the world I'm move over.
Well, you just knew I had it.
On a turn.
What?
On a turn.
No, no reason. I mean, he's drawn dead or else he has me beat.
Yeah. Wow. I play my best poker when I find the event to be extremely prestigious. Playing against some of the best players in the world, just trying to, compete against the best, that's something that I think everyone would really want to strive to do. The only way you can find out if you're the best is to play against the best. So that's a different kind of challenge. It's one that's more of a personal reward that you feel good about, the fact that you can do that. And then with the tournaments and stuff, that's one where you kind of you keep score. How many bracelets you got, how many wins you got. And it's kind of something that you can strive to do in a different sense. You're kind of Greek though, right?
Plenty of rivalry around this table. Some genuine world-class players. There's one of them, Patrik Anonius.
I don't really know.
Well, it's not a world-class hand, but in middle position, an unraised pot. Well worth investing some money with. Pocket 8s, and he does put the chips in.
And Patrik Anonius plays a lot of hands too, so he's going to get paid off when he catches hands.
Matt Carter of England has found the big slick. Michael Greco, an interested observer. And he'll be more interested now because all the chips have gone in.
And if this folds around to Patrik Anonius, this is an easy call. He has to call right here just because Matt Carter, his opponent, doesn't have that many chips.
He'll probably be putting Carter on a big ace here.
Yeah.
He knows it's pretty much going to be a coin toss.
These are what I call forced coin tosses. They're not the ones you're wanting to take, but you have so much invested, you feel like you have no choice but to take them.
He just has to dodge an ace or a king, and unfortunately for Antonius...
Well, sounds easier than it is.
Yeah, Carter has hit that ace on the flop. And now it needs to be an 8 and an 8 only for Patrik Anonius on the river. 2 outs, 1 card to hit them.
Oh my gosh! And Matt Carter is out in an instant, just like that.
Good luck, guys. The week I've had, honestly, I've just been living the dream, really and truly. To play guys like Johnny Chan, Gus, Daniel, Patrik, unbelievable.
How can you say you've lived the dream if you didn't sit next to Vicky Corrin? She's got 7s. Tino Lashish calls her all in bet with jacks.
Jacks. Well, this is a very lucky hand.
She's going to need to be lucky. And immediately she isn't. A set of jacks. And the ace kills it. The river juice means nothing. Ah, but look, she could always pole dance for a living.
The problem with tournament poker is that if you don't win it, you're miserable.
I mean, if you come second, you're miserable. Probably even more miserable than if you come last. So it's a joyless, you know, you play and play and play. Once in a blue moon, you win one, and the rest of the time, you want to kill yourself.
Talking of killing yourself, back to the Scandinavians. Now got a running ante of 300, small blind 1,000, big blind 2,000, and Daniel Negreanu has picked up fairly lowly cards. It's a suited 5-3, but good enough for him to make an investment.
And Daniel right here doesn't want any action. He just wants to steal those blinds and those antes. Oh, he might not get away with this thievery now.
It's the second time he has run into aces. Last time he made a flush. Well, he's got suited cards this time.
And Patrik Anonius is making the appropriate re-raise. Put the pressure and decision back on to Daniel Negreanu.
Daniel says, I'll see a flop. He's going to need to be lucky. That's given him an up and down straight draw and top pair. But of course, his fives dwarfed by Antonius's aces.
Now, this looks like a monster flop for Daniel Negreanu. If I'm Daniel, I'm thinking this has got to be my gin flop. It's a great flop for me.
You can't hope for much better if you come in with a 5 high.
Mullen.
And Daniel pushes all in, and insta-call by Patrik Anonius with 2 aces.
As soon as he got the call, Daniel would have known he's probably in trouble.
And Daniel calls it a race. Well,
yeah, suited.
I think he was calling for an ace actually there.
Oh.
That would give him the wheel.
I wish you had kings.
Just don't put a 6 though.
There's a big swing on him having kings.
Huh? It's huge. It gives me extra 4 hours.
So Daniel needs to hit an ace or a 6 or a 5.
Or otherwise, Daniel Negreanu is out of this tournament.
Stay alive. Let's see the river card.
Oh, wow. And saved by the ace on the river. Daniel Negreanu doubles through Patrik Anonius.
And Negreanu is bulletproof against trip aces.
You've sure been lucky today so far.
Actor Neil Pearson not having Daniel's luck on the outer tables, and nor did Matthew Gilbert. Also just missing the money were Matthew Hankins, Daniel Zink, and Dave L. Blondie Colclough. In big trouble, and hoping that the message on that T-shirt is not prophetic, is the loudmouth from down under, Tony G. Short stack, he has moved all in with 10-6, but he's run into Kaitan's big slick. Not so noisy now, and that king on the flop has really zipped him up. A club on the turn gives him the escape hatch of a flush draw, but his heart doesn't look in it. And now his tongue is off for a well-deserved lie-down. Just 47 players in the running. Hansen and Antonius on top again, and another Scandi, Annette Obrestad, flying the flag for our female players. Good to see that Antonius and Hansen have fought their way back from the misfortunes handed out to them by Daniel Negreanu.
And also by having so many great players at one table.
Well, Yanni Lamsa, he was our early chip leader. He's got the ace-4. He's lucky it's not pocket aces, certainly if Daniel comes into this.
And he makes the raise from the button. Daniel looks down at a king-9 offsuit.
That's one of his better hands. Will Lamsa get a customer? It looks as though the Canadian's reaching for chips.
This is definitely a creative table. They're playing a lot of creative hands.
This could create a big hole in Lamsa's dwindling stack. If Negreanu gets lucky, well, he's hit the 9, but it's a nut flush draw for Yanni Lamsa.
And there's an overcard out there. Daniel's got to be a little bit afraid of that.
Lamsa makes the continuation bet. And now thinking cap time for Kid Poker.
This is one of those really fickle hands. You can see Daniel fold here, you can see him call here, you can see him raise here.
Well, he has made the raise.
This is one of those situations, it's all feel. got to play the player and not the cards. And look at this.
How much is it?
Lamsa goes all in.
39,000 first, Johnny. 39,000 out there.
He doesn't have that many chips left. Negreanu has shoved quite a few in the middle already. He may call just for value.
I'm just going to suck out like Gus.
Yeah, I've been doing really good.
No, I just feel like I'm going to, you know, if I'm beat, I don't even know if I'm beat, so I call.
All right, Daniel's going to call.
And sometimes you have so much money in the middle, you just can't help it.
Right,
You've got to chase them.
Oh, wait. 57-7, right? All right. I'm not in terrible shape.
Lamsa has 9 clubs and 3 aces to hit. One of the clubs.
That didn't take long, did it? You didn't waste no time.
Dead in the water. Drawing dead now, Daniel Negreanu.
That river makes no difference at all, and Daniel is now crippled.
That didn't take too long.
Well, luckily for Daniel, he still has a lifeline, but unfortunately, it's a very short one.
He will certainly need to get busy quickly. Another heavyweight clash on the outer tables. Lee Nelson's ace-queen against Kenny Tran's Cowboys, and they both hit the flop huge. But Tran is on top. With that turn card, Lee will need to catch the case-ace, a 10 or a queen to make a bigger full house. But the 4 of hearts sends him to the rail.
Always like funded business. Why is not
A handshake, but it is Tran who stacks the chips. And Nelson, he is going down with the ship.
The flop was very exciting. The first card off was an ace. So suddenly I'd taken the lead, and then there was another ace and a king. So I flopped 3 aces, he flopped kings full, and the rest is history.
History being made here in London. Bracelets being awarded outside the States for the first time ever.
Anywhere you can get a bracelet, Europe, the States, I mean, I guess a pawn shop. Gotta love a World Series of Poker bracelet, the most respected thing in all of poker.
Pocket 5s for Johannes Korsar. Lamsa, well, he put the chips in, he took them out again. He did the hokey-cokey, but he's gone in with his king-queen off. And we're around to our short stack, Daniel Negreanu. If you're going to push, not a bad hand to do it with.
Absolutely not.
No room for subtlety here. I presume it'll just all go in.
What do you think? Let me see. How much should I make it? Ship it. Let's see. Yeah. 24, 30,000, 32, 35, 36, 37.3. I believe. 24, yeah.
That's correct.
And once again, I could care less what you do.
He sounds like a used car salesman there. It sounds like he wants a call.
Pick up a hand, shove it. Right?
I see this guy table all the time.
Yanni makes the call.
Well, that's the hand he wants to be up against, a hand that he actually has dominated.
Yes, Daniel just has to dodge a straight or kings.
Good flop.
That's perfect.
Chop it, 6-9.
Daniel's offering a chop. I think he's being facetious, though.
Yeah. Uh-oh, 60. 60 sexy.
The 6 will chop it.
I don't really want a 6. But
Daniel doesn't want to see
really
a
don't
king.
want a king. So.
King would be the worst card in the world for him.
6 would be annoying, having had the...
Come on.
Oh,
Good hand.
golly.
Oh, see, that's what I said. I would have taken a 6. We should throw that one back in and make a deal. It's too late now.
Daniel Negreanu, he has ridden his luck all day long, and it's just run out.
I'll say you surprised me. Oh, that sucks. And I'm not upset about the way that I played. I feel like I played very well. And really, that's all you can, focus on. You can't really worry about bad luck. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong, so why cry?
Talking of bad luck, Johnny Chan has run his ace-deuce into the bigger ace of Henrik Walterson. He's a 3-1 underdog. The flop gives his opponent a pair, but it gives Chan a belly-buster straight draw. He'll need a 3. It can't be the 3 of spades now. Johnny's standing up, and the river knocks him out. Also walking the plank are Matthew Kay. And with him now on the sidelines is young Thomas Dwan, not a happy man. Two of the best female players also locking horns on the outer tables, where Jennifer Harman has ace-10 against the kings of Annette Obrestad. The flop gives Annette a set, but Harman picks up a straight draw. She'll need a jack. That 10 changes nothing. Now it has to be a knave. Harman is out. Jennifer just has time to pop over to the next table to have a word with husband Marco Traniello. But look at the stack building in front of the 18-year-old Norwegian.
I never got any cards. I never could fight. It was a difficult day. It was a tough day, playing short stack all day. Most every hand I played, I won, which kept me in chips, but nobody ever called me, so it got me enough to the next round. And then I had ace-10, and somebody woke up with kings. So I never had kings today. That's not fair. Is that fair?
No one said poker was fair. How else can you explain the presence of utter beginner Martin Johnson in the top 15? He just has to hang on, and he's beaten the bubble.
On the bubble is a word that everybody hates.
The bubble is when you have a tournament, the payouts start at a certain point.
Finishing on the bubble sucks.
I hate being eliminated on the bubble.
Ever want to hear that word ever again?
Bubble.
Ever. No.
When you're on the bubble, you get zero money.
You get zero. Level zilch.
That's finishing on the bubble.
We are certainly getting close to the bubble in this tournament. No one wants to go out. But Matt McCulloch of the USA has picked up pocket kings. The action, however, is on Pat Scanlon of Ireland, and he says raise.
That's a great feeling most of the time when you look down at two kings and you see somebody else is raised in front of you.
Well, Scanlon has a genuine hand with pocket queens. McCulloch choosing to fast play the kings, and, well, how does Scanlon get out of this one? He can't lay them down.
Nope, this is where, unfortunately, you pay off your opponent or get lucky. Sometimes you could get lucky, too.
I'm calling that.
Calling that, says Pat Scanlon. The cards will go over, and Scanlon will see the bad news.
But the good news for Scanlon is it's McCulloch that's all in with these two kings.
Matthew in the lead with two kings.
Scanlon standing up, but he won't be leaving the table whatever happens. McCulloch, if a queen comes down, will be drinking that cup of tea in the last chance saloon.
Oh my gosh. And now it's McCulloch in trouble, needs a king or running diamonds to stay in this tournament. Well, ask and it shall be given. What do you want this time, McCulloch?
Stay alive. Three queens is still a nice hand. Matthew needing the catch to stay alive. Will it be
He's not asking for much.
A king or a diamond, or it's curtains. Oh, and a king! This is called suck and then resuck.
Yeah, set over set, and Scanlon came close to sending the American home.
And poker players consider this poetic justice when the best hand ends up holding up, even if it's on a redraw.
That's the sort of break you need if you're going to win a big tournament.
I play in the local pub, McTiernan's, Mary and Michael, lovely people. They make a few sandwiches and we have a game. Last Saturday I played in a pub tournament. 37 people for one ticket for here. So that's basically it. I won it. They shot me off on Sunday morning. It was literally just on the plane and away you go.
Probably wishing he was in the pub is John Turner. He's made a move with King Queen and he's trodden on a rake, I'm afraid, because John Tabatabai has kings. The Queen on the flop gives Turner some hope. But the turn is a blank. And the river, that's his ticket out of here. Tabatabai is stacking. Turner, he is heading for the bar. Patrik Anonius picks up a suited ace-9.
And once again, this is a big hand for Patrik Anonius, especially in position.
Yanni Lamsa, he's had a bit of a roller coaster day. He's playing his 6-5, and it is a suited Jack-10 for Magnus Persson. He's been pretty quiet,
He may feel like he's getting the right price here just because he's gotten a caller as well. And he does.
So round to our big blind, Pat Scanlon. Whatever cards he's got, he's getting value. 4-3 will be disguised nicely if he does hit the flop.
Of course, that is a significant part of Scanlon's stack, so he did have to think through the decision carefully.
Let's see whether it turns out for him. Well, he's picked up a gut shot straight draw.
And top pair for Patrik Anonius.
Lampser with the flush draw.
This one could bring out some fireworks. Wow, and everybody checks around.
You get a free turn card.
Oh, and look at this, the only person that we didn't mention. Person hits the straight on the turn.
He has got Broadway, still vulnerable to a diamond. Patrik bets out.
And Lamsa folds his flush draw immediately.
As we can see, the other two players drawing dead already.
All right, Magnus is going to raise it up here.
Person makes a big raise. It's going to be a tough decision around to Patrik Anonius.
Makes the call. It's a big, big pot. The river can make no difference. Well, they would have given Scanlon a straight, which would have got him into all sorts of trouble. So he'll be thanking his lucky stars in a few moments that he folded.
That he will.
He's doing an admirable job of keeping a straight face. Inside, he must be raging.
And Person making a nice value bet, trying to price Patrik Anonius into making this call.
Antonius giving him the eyeballs.
I think Patrik Anonius feels like, oh my gosh, that's a value bet. I'm not winning this pot. But yet, with top pair, he showed weakness on a flop by checking. I know he wished he had that flop to do over, because he would have led at that flop for sure.
No, I'm not the best player in the world to lay this house down.
This is a tough hand for him to lay down. I think he's got to lay it down, but it's such a small bet into this considerably sized pot.
He may put Person on a busted flush draw.
That's about the only hand he could beat.
Shows the straight. And Antonius disgusted with himself.
Yeah, that goes back to the flop. No bet on the flop. Bad move by Patrik Anonius. Gave a free card, and a very expensive one it was.
A bad misread by Patrik there, and obviously a bad mistake at the hairdressers by Gary Jones. He won't mind this situation too much, however. He's got ace-king against the pocket tens of Annette Obrestad. Pretty much a coin flip. The flop pairs his bullet. Now he just has to dodge a 10. The turn, that changes nothing. Annette now drawing to 2 outs. And she hits one of them. She must have been touching Norwegian wood. And poor Gary has to go back where the mirrors are. Feeling good right now, it's Joe Lee from the United States. He's got a set of 7s, and his opponent, Julius Coleman, will need to hit a 5 or an 8 to knock him out. The crowd, they are begging for a river that will take us nearer the bubble. And there it is. A bigger set sends Joe Lee out in 38.
I've got it all right. It's so far for nothing. So close for nothing.
Every player in this tournament invested £10,000 in their buy-in. The next player out gets nothing. They are the bubble. After that, they are on easy street.
And there's nothing sicker than going out in the bubble. Well, maybe getting second place is pretty sick, but at least you have a nice payday when you do.
Pat Scanlon, well, he's not frightened of going out in the bubble. He's gone all in with Jack 10 suited.
It's a pretty bold all-in, but at the same time, this is how you win tournaments. Got to make a move when you're riding around the bubble.
And he's run into Gus Hansen with the big slick.
An easy call for Gus Hansen.
Scanlon, he must be thinking, I could have just ridden this one out and made the money. And there's no way Gus is calling me without a better hand than Jack 10. And he sees that he is a 2-to-1 dog. Here comes the flop. And there is a king for Gus Hansen, but an up and down straight draw for Pat Scanlon. He's not out of this yet.
The door is open, but Gus has got the better hand right now. Scanlon needs a 9 or an ace to stay in this tournament.
I would like the deuce of clubs or something like that.
Oh, and there it is. Scanlon's still alive. But he's got to dodge an ace or king on the river to stay alive.
It is, Jeff. It hit nothing.
Can Hansen make the full house to send Scanlon home with nothing? He can't. Scanlon stays alive with the Broadway straight.
King 3, that's such beautiful 2 cards.
They say fortune favours the brave. Pat Scanlon, he was bold, and he's still in the show. Hoping for some of Scanlon's luck is Jeff Buffenbarger. He's all in with ace-9 and he's got 2 customers. One of them, John Tabatabai, has hit 2 pairs on that flop. Understandably, there's no raising on the side from him and Ian Fraser. They just want to make the money now. Nothing on the turn, and the river sends Buffenbarger home.
That's good.
Everyone left is in the money. Huge applause, maybe for the bubble bursting, maybe just for Jeff's excellent surname.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're in these things to play and have a good time. There'll be worse beats at bigger pots between now and the final anyways. And the thing is, there's not much money difference between 36th and 10th anyway, so I think what you'll see now in the tournament is everyone will just start throwing their chips in and they'll go. I mean, nobody likes the bubble, but somebody had to do it, and that was me.
So everybody left inside the Empire Casino is going to get paid. Still, Patrik Anonius and Gus Hansen out in front, but all 36 players will go to bed dreaming of that £1 million jackpot. It's one of the biggest prizes ever to be up for grabs in world poker. But does it wait for a young gun or a seasoned pro, a part-timer, a newcomer, a legend, or a world champion? To find out, join us again at the World Series of Poker Europe, presented by Betfair.com. If you thought people only got excited playing for millions in Las Vegas, think again. Because now the World Series of Poker Europe has come to London, where the top players on the planet are chasing a coveted bracelet.
This is London's West End, commonly known as Theatreland. You can see tragedy, and there's music.
We're going up, we're going down, we're going up, down, anywhere you want to go. Yeah.
And at times, even comedy. We got mystery.
Let me see the hand, man.
Oh, my heart, man.
You can catch timeless classics. With everything that poker has to offer, no wonder Hollywood has fallen in love with the game.
I love it here in London.
I feel like diamonds. All right.
Can I get the film for that?
So sit back and enjoy the show. Lights, cameras, action.
And inside the Empire Casino yesterday, there was one key piece of action when the bubble was reached in the unlucky form of Jeff Buffenbarger. When the applause died down, 36 players remained, among them veterans, internet whiz kids, poker legends, even a former world champion. They all have their eyes on a first prize of exactly £1 million. Right now the leaderboard has a Scandinavian flavour, with Patrik Anonius and Gus Hansen only a few chips apart at the top. Everyone left is guaranteed nearly £30,000, but it's that top prize which is going to change someone's life. Joining me to show he knows a lot about poker as well as West End theatre, it's bracelet winner Robert Williamson III. Robert, we've got a pretty good feature table here. Patrik Anonius and Gus Hansen both on it, but it's young Magnus Persson who's going to be first to act. He's got pocket jacks.
And there is a lot of firepower at this table for sure. The 2 chip leaders in the entire tournament, 2 great players. Should be some fireworks here today.
Firepower, fireworks. But young William Durkee obviously had a damp squib of a hand. He gets rid of it.
I'm out.
And Gus folds as well. So we're round to Patrik, who has picked up 10 king off.
Once again, most people wouldn't even consider playing this hand, but for Patrik Anonius, this is like 2 kings to him.
He's in the blinds. He's not going to surrender those for nothing.
Nope, he's a known blind defender.
Flop is queen of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, 9 of clubs.
That has given a gut-shot draw to Antonius, but he'd need one of the jacks. And we know Persson's got 2 of them. Persson bets out.
That was a continuation bet, and a good one, with only 1 overcard out there. Wow. I guess Patrik Anonius felt weakness.
That is not a happy face. That one is made of granite.
You know, that separates a really good player from a really great player when you can make reads like this. What a great read of Patrik Anonius. He's given himself a chance to win this pot. Wow, what a great call by Persson back.
Magnus may have felt he had so many chips in there already. It was do or die time. And he will be relieved to see that Patrik does not have a queen. And Antonius will need to hit a king or a jack.
Magnus has the best.
This is a big pot. This is a really important pot to both these players, especially to Persson, because his whole stack's out there.
So far, so good for Magnus. A king or a jack on the river will send him home. Seems pretty happy about things, and now he has very good reason to be. He has doubled through our chip leader, Patrik Anonius.
And sometimes aggression doesn't pay, and that one right there was very costly for Patrik Anonius.
Svensk dödar
I heard about Eric Sagström making a lot of money online, so I started to read a lot of books and play a lot online, and everyone started to play poker in Sweden. I thought that players would make more moves because they're on the feature table, but it's really the same game. I actually prefer being there because you get much more focused and you're 100% focused in every hand.
On an outer table, Jamie Gold has induced an all-in call from Marcello Morigliano. Jamie doesn't like the fact he was called with such a low pair. He doesn't like that 3 on the flop either. He's going to need the 18 to get out of this one. And that turn finishes it. This loss is going to seriously damage Jamie Gold.
Still playing.
Also in bother is Bob Willis, whose ace-king is up against the pocket kings of Alexander Vathny. They're both standing up, but it's Willis who's in danger of busting out. The flop is no help. The turn means he is drawing thin. And the river cold as ice. No ace, but 27 grand will soften the blow of defeat.
Oh my God! Nice hand, man.
Short stack Jamie Gold hasn't waited long before moving his remaining chips in, but he's up against the pocket queens of Marco Traniello. Jamie seems to be eating some sort of green bean. That's how he stays in shape, folks. And that flop gives him some hope. Another 10 or king will mean he survives. But the 4 of hearts is no good. We lose the 2006 main event champion. Jamie Gold Always controversial. He is leaving us, and I'm afraid he's taking his vegetables with him.
Everybody seems to be having a good time. You know, some people say I talk too much, but usually, you know, most of the time I'm not talking and the table's really boring. So when I finally get in a hand, I feel like I should say something and maybe make it a little more exciting. But I made some new friends and I had a really good time. And I love it here in London. I'm definitely going to come back.
Why, I wonder, does that sound like a threat? Gus Hansen stares down at ace-6 in hearts. Definitely a playable hand for the Dane. He's in middle position and well chipped.
And he opens the pot up for a raise.
But young Magnus Persson has picked up the Kangaroos and will be going nowhere with this, except possibly forward. He does reach for a raise. And he says to Hansen, right back at ya.
He's got to be feeling pretty good with 2 kings right there in that spot.
Pat Scanlon is in the big blind, but can't fancy defending it to a raise and a re-raise. So back around to Gus.
This is the problem of playing a lot of hands. You have to make some of these really tough calls too. So now Gus Hansen's got a tough decision. He knows the person's capable of playing back with him with a lot less than 2 kings.
Gus calls.
He does make the call. Confident that he can outplay the youngster after the flop, but he hasn't really got any help from that one. Persson picks up a spade draw, as well as being high and handsome with his kings.
That's a bad flop for Gus Hansen, absolutely. But he should be able to get away from this with minimal amount of damage at least. That'd be the bright spot for him right now.
You always smiled before you bet 47,500?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I fold.
And a good fold.
Then I fold. I hope I don't fold the nuts. No, I didn't have the nuts. I'm a donkey.
Actually, Gus, that was a good fold.
All right. When poker's played properly, most of the time people actually fold their cards. For example, when you're holding a hand such as the 7-deuce offsuit, which is the worst hand in poker, you need to throw those cards away, which is called mucking the cards. Sometimes I fold so many hands while I'm playing, I have to find a different way to fold. So sometimes I'll flick them. Sometimes I'll pitch them. And other times, I'll just slide them over. Gotta entertain yourself somehow.
Patrik Anonius choosing to entertain himself with a little bit of music. Not too much chatter at this table for him to drown out, but he's got that headphone at least over one ear. Action round to Magnus Persson, who folds the Queen 7. And we are with Pat Scanlon, who's got a better hand, pocket jacks.
Needless to say, any big pair, premium pair, you want to raise it up and get some money into the pot.
He is doing just that. Blinds at 2,000 and 4,000 with a running ante of 500. So 15,000 or up. He's made it 25.
And that's a little bit bigger raise than I intended for him to make. I thought he'd make it about 12,000 to go. That's a normal raise, 3 times the big blind. When you open it up for more, you might run into another hand.
And that's exactly what's happened. Young Johannes Korsar of Norway has found the big slick. And he is coming over the top. That makes up Antonius' mind.
And with a hand like ace-king, you really want to be the aggressor. You don't want to be the caller, because that gives you 2 ways to win. Most likely you're going to be in a coin flip situation unless you have somebody dominated.
Scanlon showing his mettle and counting out a call. He will obviously want to see undercards to his jacks. Corsair doesn't seem to want to look at this flop. Well, the first two were good for Scanlon, but an ace must be one of the cards he thinks Corsair is holding.
Oh, and he checks to Scanlon, trying to let him trap himself.
It gives them both a diamond draw, but Corsair's is bigger. And of course, they both have a straight draw now.
And Corsair pushes all in. The trap has been set. Now Scanlon has to decide, is my flush draw alive? Are my two jacks any good? We can see, no, they're not.
Should be 65.5, I think.
Scanlon has asked how much it is. 65,000 more into a pot of over 300,000. And he says call. Figures he was priced in, but he will not like what he sees.
And Scanlon will be dead to a jack. Corsair's going to double up.
A 3 would give them a chop, but it isn't one. That 10 means that Corsair has doubled through. Scanlon looks sick as a dog. Johannes Corsair proving that he is deadly as well as silent.
I don't know. I don't understand. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Also left speechless, popular pro Ian the Razor Fraser. Losing his chair there. And look, it's Martin Johnson, the clueless journalist who's never played poker before. Somehow he's made the money, but now he needs a club on the river to avoid getting knocked out by Tino Lashish. I'm warning you, Tino. Many men have tried. But there it is. Finally, Johnson's luck has run out. Handshakes all round for the new hero of fish and donkeys everywhere.
Fantastic, man. You've done a fantastic run. That's the beauty of poker, because any Tom, Dick, Harry can get out there and do it. You just proved that you can do it in a $20,000 US buy-in tournament. You just came in and just wiped out the field.
When you do your next big interviews, I know you will, and the guy says, or the girl says, you know, Kirk, who's your toughest opponent ever?
Without a doubt, I'm going to say, you know, I met this bloke, this Pommy. Little Pommy. Martin Johnson. Is that what you want to hear?
Martin's antics may have entertained a few people at the Empire Casino, but there's also been plenty of spectacle to distract our players from the usual bad beat stories.
I bluffed again, by the way.
Personally, I think we need more of this at tournaments. Beautiful girls, plenty of musical entertainers, and more importantly, plenty of musical entertainers who won't let the devilfish join in on guitar. And in the bar, you can take bets on how many bottles this character's going to drop. Damn, lucky again. Showing plenty of bottle, the players at our feature table. We're getting closer and closer to the serious money now. Time to bust some moves, but Pat Scanlon decides not to with those rags. And we're round to Matt McCulloch of the USA, who's picked up the sailboats, pocket fours. How will he play this low pair?
He opened it up for a raise.
I'm out. This might have been my longest streak ever of folds in a row.
On the button, Patrik Anonius has ace-king.
And once again, this is a kind of hand you want to raise with. You don't want to be a caller with ace-king.
Your lips to Patrick's ears, because he has made the raise. And what now for Matthew McCulloch?
Well, he has to decide, am I a coin flip? If I think I'm 50-50, then I have to ship it. And he thinks he's 50-50, and guess what? He's right.
He's gone all in. He has been called. We're off to the races.
Well, it's McCulloch's tournament life on the line. But a big pot all the same, an important pot for both players.
Clubs, jack of hearts, 6 of diamonds.
Nothing there for Patrick so far. McCulloch becomes a slightly shorter favourite.
Let's see the turn card. No.
So far, so good.
And still no help for Patrik Anonius. This will be a key double up for McCulloch.
That's not happened yet. He needs to avoid an ace or a king. And he's done it. That paint must have given him a little heart tremor. Possibly thought it was a king, but it's Patrick who's left feeling sick to the guts, and McCulloch taking the plaudits of his fan club.
And if you want to win poker tournaments, you have to win the coin tosses.
I feel like I've already exceeded my realistic expectations. I've outlasted a large amount of professional players, which I'm certainly not one of them. Cash, at the very least, change my game up a little bit and be a little bit more aggressive. Hopefully make the final table. That would be great. That would be my ultimate goal, is to get to the final table. Actually, now that I get on the TV table, I don't want to come off it. I just want to stay there.
On the outer tables, Patrik Jouvin is all in, but he's found the best hand to do it with, pocket aces. He's facing the king-queen of Theo Jorgensen. Here comes the flop. And that's a sickener for Jouvin. The turns are 9. Now he'll need a 9, 5 or ace to stay in the tourney. He's out. Seems happy about it. Also in dire straits is Marcello Merigliano, who needs to catch a king, running sixes or an unlikely straight. Now just a king will do it. No dice. And here is Julius Coleman up against Theo Jorgensen, and badly outgunned. His Jack-10 will need to defeat Ace-Queen. And what a flop that is. It gives Jorgensen trips, but Coleman an up and down straight draw.
Not like that. Love that. All right, let's hear it.
Coleman can laugh. He actually does make his straight, but he is beaten by quad queens. You do not see that very often. He leaves with a smile, and Theo Jorgensen suddenly right up amongst it, and pulling in a massive chip stack. He's gone into the top 3 now. Looking at the stats, we can see that Norway's Alexander Vathney tops the pile. But notice how Patrik Anonius has gone into a dive. He'll need to turn that around fast if he wants the bracelet. Blinds up to 3,000 and 6,000, and with a running ante of 500 from each player, that means there's more than 10,000 chips in the middle before a card gets dealt.
And that's why the dogs of the dog track run after the rabbit. They got to have something to go after, and that's what these antes and these blinds are right now to these players.
Yes, they're there to stimulate action. Can't see them getting much from the Queen 3, however. And we're round to Gus, who has picked up pocket 5s.
And he so casually puts in a raise.
Patrik Anonius has the button.
And a pair as well.
Things haven't been going his way at the moment, but he says all in! What a way to force the issue. And he has run into a big hand here in front of Magnus Persson.
Well, this is a tough decision for Magnus, actually. Raise, re-raise all in. Now he's going to end up being the caller, not the raiser.
Well, he decides to move all in.
If he folded, I was going to ask if I could take Magnus' hand. I think this would be a sick call in the century, but of course I am pretty sick.
And you'd be even sicker if you lost all your chips, Gus.
I'm gonna call Patrick. Gonna call Patrik.
His wheels are turning.
I just say I'm such an idiot for calling. It's a nice pot to win.
Greed's a beautiful thing.
I don't want to deal with it.
Gus folds what is at the moment the best hand.
I'm happy. Golly. And obviously had an overpair. I mean, I was calling him in the shot.
Gus howling at the moon. Sees what he's thrown away. An ace or a king would stop him complaining. And there is one straight away.
I can't beat you in any hand.
Right now,
just make a call.
Things are Magnus is called up. Let's see the turn.
No club to give Antonius the flush for an out, so he needs to hit a 3, and there's only 2 of them. Putting his shoes back on, he's ready to walk, and that is no good. Patrik Anonius, one of the early chip leaders, knocked out by Magnus Persson.
From chip leader to broke. That's how quick it happens in tournament poker.
I just couldn't get any cards in the last 2 hours. There was basically nothing I could do. I can't even be mad because I could not play those hands differently.
Well, nothing Sean Needham can do now except hope. His pocket sevens need to steer a path past the jacks of Tino Lashish and the ace-king of Alexander Vafny.
Come on!
Lashish full of encouragement for the dealer.
Come on! Yes!
No one can do it.
Yes!
I think we know who won that one.
Good morning.
Needham leaves us. Also all in with sevens and in danger is Nicholas Levi. John Tabatabai, a 4-1 favourite with his kings.
Let's see a flop.
3 cards come down, and none of them has a 7 on it. So Levi just a 10% chance of winning this, and the odds have lengthened even more now. He'll need to hit a 7 on the river. The flush is no good for him. Ace of diamonds means that he is out. We lose the man in the hat. Looking at the leaderboard, we can see that those wins have propelled Lashish and Tabatabai into the top 5, but Kenny Tran is near the bottom of the 26 players remaining. And with just 26 players left, the tables have been redrawn, and it's all change on our feature table. We've got fresh blood and a couple of sharks in the shape of Erick Lindgren and Annie Duke. We'll be keen to sniff around that blood. Action round to Van Zadelhoff, gets out of the way. And right away, Lindgren has picked up a monster hand. Pocket kings.
And he opens for a raise.
Oyvind Rissam gets out of the way. Pat Scanlon. He's got an ace-5 in hearts.
He's also got some chips as well. That always helps to be able to play a few more hands when you have a few chips.
Makes the call. He wants to accumulate, so he's going to speculate. But he'll want to see an ace or some hearts in a hurry. Well, there's the ace and there's another one.
Well, didn't get just one, he got 2, which actually might convince Erick Lindgren, otherwise known as E-Dog, that he has the best hand. Check, check on the flop. The trap is set.
All in.
All in. It's always with the cell. Just push something for it. Just 1 chip, 2 chips, whatever.
Well, that's his signature move.
It is.
Sorry about that.
Well, people around Europe are familiar with it now.
I think so, yeah. But I have to stop doing it, yeah.
Just don't bring it to America.
Referring to Scanlon's flurry of all-ins.
And Eric makes the call. He's not a believer.
Eric's called.
And he goes dole like Homer Simpson when he sees what he's just done with his money.
Eric's going to need a king.
And Erick Lindgren's in bad shape here. He needs a king, or he will be back to America. And no help on the river.
Pat Scanlon claims a very big scalp there. One of the top players in the world. And he now has his chips to add to his arsenal.
I'm riddled with superstitions. If I started listing them all now, we'd be here all day.
If I have a particular set of clothes on when I win a tournament, you can be sure that you're going to see a lot of those clothes over the next few weeks.
I'm very careful about shaking someone's hand before I play a tournament.
I don't like the number 4. I don't like to wear red when I play poker.
I would never wear green at the table.
I wear red today because I know I'm not playing poker today.
I had actually ordered some eggs one morning, and I thought that they were going to upset my stomach, so I didn't eat them. But I continue to order them every morning and not eat them.
If you like to have a teddy bear with you, whatever, if you want to wear the same T-shirt for 12 straight days because you've been winning with it, anything that makes you comfortable with it.
Grub, I've always thought it was unlucky to be superstitious.
Well, let's see if our players agree with you. Cards in the air. John Tabatabai and Tino Lashish have joined us. But it is Jakob Poulsen who picks up a hand, pocket 9s. And he makes the raise.
Opens with a good solid raise.
Round to Annie Duke, who gets out of the way. Got suited connectors for Oyvind Rissam.
Guess he's decided to defend his button.
That's it. And the Queen 9 in the small blind. Pat Scanlon has played worse and won. He may be tempted in, having already invested a small amount for the small blind.
He's definitely got a little more gamble than most folks, that's for sure.
Well, here is someone with a lot of gamble, just 18 years old. The Norwegian internet sensation, Annette Obrestad.
She goes by Annette 15 because she first started playing poker when she was just 15.
Well, Annette has hit top pair. And got those fours to go with it, of course. The action has been checked round. And Poulsen bets.
And with only one overcard out there, that's a good bet. Got to find out where you're at right here. I have a feeling he's fixing to find out.
Annette makes the call. No 9 for Poulsen.
And Annette Obrestad checks again.
The second bullet fired from the chamber, and this pot building up. It's over 200,000 now.
He's not betting big enough bets to get her off this hand. He's got to make a bigger bet there. She's just about priced in to make this call.
She is a very aggressive player. And she flat calls once more. And that ace may scare her.
Well, it has to scare her. It scares me. I'm not even playing.
3 clubs also.
But Poulsen's got 3 overcards to his pair out there as well.
Well, full marks for Guts. He's bet again, even with 3 overcards and that flush draw out there.
But he still didn't bet a big enough bet. She might have to call. She might be priced in. It's a tough spot, though. And she does. She makes a tough call.
Full marks to Jakob Poulsen for trying, but a gold star to Annette Obrestad for reading him for an underpair and calling with just that king. Second pair good enough for the Norwegian.
I mean, I play a lot online. If they know how I play, then they're probably not going to think too much about it that I'm a female. But if they don't know me, then maybe they'll think I'm a little tighter than I am and don't bluff as much. Because that's what females usually do, and they just call a lot and see flops, and they're not very aggressive. So I like to play a lot of pots. I like to bluff. I like to win pots. So I mean, it just goes up and down a lot. I don't like to be bullied around by the boys.
Doing the bullying on the outer tables now is Gus Hansen. He calls with a straight draw. The turn makes his hand. And Henrik Walterson, he's all in.
That was not a good card for you. No.
Walterson sees the bad news. He is drawing dead. He's out. Fresh ammo gets pushed towards Gus Hansen. And Henrik has to take the long and lonely walk with only £27,000 to keep him company. Back to the action. Cards being distributed. And the action from Steve van Zadelhoff. Looks as though he should be riding a motorbike. He's going nowhere with 10-6.
And this deep in a tournament, you got to keep your motorbike full of gas. Got to steal these antes and these blinds.
Yes, there's plenty to win in the middle. An action round to Annette Obrestad, who has rags and decides to bet with them.
Well, she's trying to turn rags to riches. She's got the chips to spare, so she can sure take some chances.
Young British pro John Tabatabai also has, well, let's just say a middling hand, 8 high, and he makes the call.
Wow, a 7-8 offsuit. It's a pretty loose call from Tabatabai.
Jakob Poulsen gets rid of an ace-9. He was way in front. 2 overcards. Look, he would have hit that one as well. As it is, it's Obrestad who makes a pair of 6s, but an up and down draw for Tabatabai.
Both players caught a piece of this flop, and Annette checks it over to Tabatabai.
Now that's a big ask with only a 6 and the worst kicker in the deck. No black cards either.
And wow, she check raises this dangerous flop.
Her face is impassive. Tabatabai gave a little flinch of pain there.
40.
But he makes the re-raise.
What a bold play by Tabatabai.
Great read there from the Welshman.
I'm all in.
And wow, right back at you. I can't believe it. With bottom pair, no kicker, she's put all her chips on the line. He's got to be sick right now. Only an open and straight.
She covers me, right?
Asking whether Annette covers him, and she does.
This is what happens when you play silly hands.
This isn't super aggressive. This is uber aggressive.
Those are hundreds, right?
What a tough spot for the former law student, and he throws them away.
Wow.
Ice cool from the Norwegian teenager.
Everybody was telling me about this girl. They said, you know, stay out of her way. But I thought it'd be a good person to have some fun with. But unfortunately, I think I chose the wrong time. She had a big hand, and I had nothing. Turns out I dumped off about 200 grand to her, so... Up until that point, it was going pretty good. Generally speaking, I think women have an advantage, but I'm guessing she had big hands every time that it's gone re-raised, so... If she had nothing, if they were bluffs, yeah, then I'm very impressed.
Unimpressed right now is Andreas Berggren. He has seen his pocket nines outflopped by Theo Jorgensen's ace, and now he needs to catch a 9 on the river. That is no good, and he is gone in a very respectable 24th place.
No funny business.
Doing all the talking is Kenny Tran, who needs to survive with ace-king against ace-jack, or he is out too. The flop gives his opponent Terry Cook an up-and-down straight draw. Kenny hates that. The turn is harmless. And the river, that'll keep a smile on Kenny's face.
Always something exciting to watch.
Plenty of exciting action so far on our feature table as well.
And you know, Grub, it's funny, we haven't seen a hand between the two super aggressive females yet. Been staying out of each other's way so far.
Ace-10 suited for the noisy Australian, Tino Lashish. He raises it. Jakob Poulsen throws his rags away. Bernd Zadelhoff folds his Jack-10. And he does the same with a rag ace. Can't see King-5 exciting Oyvind Rissam. But Pat Scanlon on the button. No, not this time. Gets out of the way, as does Annette. So it's just the big blind. That is John Tabatabai.
Surely he won't look to defend with just a jack-deuce.
He may like the fact they're suited, but he wouldn't if he could see that Lashish has two big clubs as well. And most importantly, one of them's the ace.
Wow, and Tabatabai decides to defend.
Need to get lucky. Well, he has gone in front. Bottom pair.
Only dangerous part about hitting bottom pair is you never know when it's good.
John checks. And we'll bet 19,000.
Tino has asked the question. And what will the young Welshman do? Well, there's your answer. He raises. This is aggressive.
I'd rather raise in that spot than flat call, because then you don't know where you're at the rest of the hand, but I think he should have raised a little more than this. It looks like he might even be on tilt from that prior hand with the net, which could encourage his opponent to call him.
Tino is counting them out. Will he put them in the middle of the bays? Back on there.
I believe that last hand is what's getting Tabatabai this action.
No change with the 5. That extinguishes any possible club flush draws. So if John bets again here, it's going to be really hard for Tino to call.
And he swings at it once again. Continuation after he made the original raise. And this is a tougher spot for Lashish than the first original call because now these bets are getting big. And he makes the laydown.
He tosses away, and that's good. Aggressive play from John Tabatabai. The wheel of fortune has turned on an outer table as Yanni Lamsa, who led the tournament for a long time, is all in with Queen 10 against the Ace-5 of Johannes Korsar. The flop brings Korsar an open-ended straight draw, and the dealer doesn't make him wait. He hits it on the turn, and Lamsa is drawing dead. A good tournament for the Finn, but he is out. Also looking for oxygen, Marco Traniello. He has a rag ace against the pocket nines of Theo Jorgensen, who's been sending players home for fun. 3 on the flop gives Marco hope, but the turn is no good. And now neither is the river. He is off to join wife Jennifer Harmon on the rail.
I can never be disappointed. I was gonna shoot for another final table so I could make 4 final tables this year. We're serious. That didn't happen, but well, next time.
A glance at the chip leaderboard shows that Jorgensen is still on top with Obrestad and Tabatabai chasing hard. 21 players left. Small blind 4,000, big blind 8,000, running ante of 1,000 now. The price of poker is going up steeply. Annette Obrestad from Norway, aggressive as usual with just a Queen 7 suited. Gets rid of Jakob Poulsen's inferior queen, and Van Zadelhoff happy to fold as well.
Well, the computer hand for Annette Obrestad.
It's an ace-jack, I believe, for Annie Duke. Off suit. She makes the call. And pocket nines for Oyvind Riesum.
Yeah, if I'm him right there, I might have to re-raise this. He flat called. I prefer a raise right there. Try to define the hand, see where I'm at.
Well, if a 9 comes, he won't need any defining. As it is, look at that. It's a flush straight away for Annette. Top pair for Annie Duke.
And Annette's got to figure out how can I extract the most chips from my opponents right now, because she's got the nuts.
And with those 2 calls of her raise, she can be fairly confident that somebody's got an ace and she may get action.
It could even be reasonable to think that both of these players left had an ace.
As Annie moves here, she'll certainly save Oyvind Riesum some money. And the chips are going in the middle. His decision is easy. Nothing to do with the nines except trash them.
And she's not going to like what she sees here. Annie Duke's drawing dead to runner.
Annette Obrestad has busted Beth Shack. She's busted Jennifer Harmon. She could be about to bust another big-name lady player.
She showed no mercy to the female players.
Oh, but
and the door's back open.
Annie Duke now has 10 outs. Any ace, any king, any 5, any jack.
Catch up here. Will she do it?
He's really feeling this tension. Annette looks cool as a cucumber. And the river sends Annie Duke out of this tournament.
And the all-time female money winner won't be bringing that bracelet back to America. Or the £1 million.
You're talking to me at a bad time. Now, right now, I hate London and I hate this tournament. So it's really frustrating to get this deep and then just sort of have a day where it's just not your day and you can't have anything go right and you can't win a pot and, you know, it's not a nice way to end it. But I'm sure that, you know, by next week I'll be like, wow, I did really well in London. It was a great time, you know. Annette obviously has been running pretty good today and she's a good player, but she likes to bet, you know, so the table that we're at, people have been trying to bluff her off every hand, which is actually a very bad strategy with her. They should be doing the opposite and trying to let her bluff them. But they haven't figured that out, and I can't go counsel them, so.
Words of wisdom that I don't think Annie herself adhered to.
She did fall foul of the Norwegian. She's gone. Another Norwegian, Oyvind Riesum, folding there. And it's an ace-7 in front of the Irishman, Pat Scanlon.
All in.
And he pushes all in on the power of the button. He doesn't want to call her, though. He wants to win these blinds and these antes right here, right now.
How many chips is that?
John Tabatabai asking for a count to see whether it's worth his while calling with a raggy-looking king six.
I can't imagine what he's even considering here. What hand could he possibly be dominating?
It'd be such a silly call.
Silly call. This would be like an unbelievable call.
But you keep going all in.
I enjoy it.
Huh?
I enjoy doing it, actually.
No, I enjoyed it as well, but
yeah, very good.
It has to come to an end.
Very good for the hand. Exercise with my hand.
Half my stack with king six.
Tabatabai announcing what his cards are, but saying, Scanlon, you've gone all in too often. I don't believe you.
Thank you.
But at some point, it doesn't matter if you believe him or not. You got to have something to stop a bluff. King six isn't the hand.
And Scanlon picks up the very valuable blinds and antes. He was chip leader earlier today, but on one of the outer tables, Alexander Vafney has been forced all in with a lowly jack six off. He needs to negotiate a way past Gus Hansen's ace five of hearts. The flop misses them both. The turn, though, that gives Gus a straight and a flush draw. And the river pairs Gus's hand, and Vafney leaves us in 20th place. Also all in is Matthew McCulloch. He has pocket queens. Terry Cook was already all in with his suited ace-king, and he stands up when he sees he's also behind to James Key's pair of kings. Talk about walking into trouble. 3 premium hands, 3 cards to come on the flop, and this is definitely going to be one of the key pots of the tournament. Oh, amazing. Trip queens from McCulloch, a flush draw for Cook. And now the turn brings Keys right back into it. He needs a non-spade 10 for a chop with the straight, but a deuce is no good, and it's the queens that stand up. What a triple through for Matthew McCulloch. He was definitely not the favourite when that hand started, but he has walked out with all the chips, and Cook out in 19th place.
It's always a good result to getting the money, but you're always wanting the big one because that makes a difference. Like, you know, if you just keep getting placed in the money but not making that much money, it's not going to get you too far in the long run. So to get so far, you're always going to be a bit disappointed, but, you know, I'm quite happy with the way I played generally. So.
With the tables being balanced, we are now just 6-handed at the feature table.
And that means you've got to play more hands. You can't wait, otherwise you'll get gobbled up by the blinds and antes.
Jack 6 not good enough for the usually aggressive Annette Obrestad. But King is certainly going to be good enough for John Tabatabai.
You know, he's been playing a lot of hands. He's liable to get paid off too, and he opens for a nice raise.
And he has found opposition, and he will love the sight of Jakob Poulsen pushing in. And Zadelhoff and Riesem get out of the way.
The only thing he won't like is Poulsen still has an overcard. He could have a lot of other hands he's dominating, but this one, Poulsen at least will be drawing live.
Well, if you get your money in and you're 73 favourite, that's not bad.
That's my first time.
Mine too.
And it might be his last one.
Sporting handshake. Poulsen stands up and he doesn't catch some decent cards. Might as well keep walking. He knows he's in trouble. Let's see whether the flop can help him. They're all low.
No help on this flop. Poulsen still needs an ace or running cards.
Well, that gives him some more outs.
Catch an ace.
Now he can catch an ace or a 10, or else it's going to be his curtain call.
And that's it. Jakob Poulsen is out of this tournament.
And when you're short stacked like Poulsen was, sometimes you got to ship it in and hope for the best.
Throughout the day, I was just getting lower and lower in chips, and then after an hour and a half of folding, I picked up ace 10, and I moved all in, and I had king, and no help.
With only 17 players remaining, it is Norway's Annette Obrestad who leads with just over 900,000 chips. But with the swings in fortune we've seen today, you can't rule out anyone who's made it this far. Join us again to see which of these faces, some familiar, some just bursting onto the scene, is going to walk away from the Empire Casino in London with a £1 million fortune at the World Series of Poker Europe, presented by Betfair.com.